Clearance diver. A clearance diver was originally a specialist naval diver who used explosives underwater to remove obstructions to make harbors and shipping channels safe to navigate, but later the term clearance diver was used to include other naval underwater work. Units of clearance divers were first formed during and after the Second World War to clear ports and harbors in the Mediterranean and northern Europe of unexploded ordnance and shipwrecks and booby traps laid by the Germans. In some navies, including Britain's Royal Navy RN, work divers, which includes ship's divers, must have a lifeline and a line tender when reasonably practicable. History. The first units were Royal Navy mine and bomb disposal units. They were succeeded by the port clearance parties, P parties. The first operations by P parties included clearing away the debris of unexploded ammunition left during the Normandy invasion. During World War Roman II navies used the heavy surface-supplied standard diving dress before changing to lighter self-contained rebreather equipment. Training. Admission to clearance diver training requires the candidate to pass medical and physical fitness screening and to be a member of the relevant military force. Scope of activity. The scope of activity for a clearance diver varies depending on the specific armed force in which they are a member, but historically, the most defining competence is skills in underwater demolition using explosives. The closely associated skills in explosive ordnance disposal are also generally implied by the designation. Nations with clearance diving groups: Africa, Egypt, South Africa, Asia, Europe, Denmark, Sovereignheidsmynordtjeneste EOD Clearance Diving Unit, Estonia, EOD Tukregruppe EOD Clearance Diver Unit, France. The French Navy clearance divers are known as plongeurs de mineurs. The French Army also has clearance divers named plongeurs de combat du génie that operate in freshwater environments. Although they are trained in demolition and explosives clearance, they also survey river banks and possible crossing areas. Germany. Minentocher is Germany's clearance diver force. Ireland Republic of Naval Service Diving Section NSDS. Norway Myndikerkommando Norway's Naval Work Divers and Clearance Diver Force. Portugal, the Sappers Divers Group, which also serve as Combat Divers Unit. Sweden, Raj de Care, Swedish Navy EOD Division. United Kingdom. Royal Navy Naval Work Divers are officially called clearance divers. During WW2, divers used the Davis Submerged Escape Apparatus DC, no wetsuit or swim fins. On 17 December 1942, 6 Italian divers on 3-manned torpedoes attacked Gibraltar Harbor. A British patrol boat killed the crew of one with a depth charge. Their bodies were recovered and their swim fins later used by Gibraltar's guard divers Sidney Knowles and Commander Lionel Crabb. This was the first known British use of swim fins. In November 1944, following surrender of Italian forces, an Italian frogman brought 2 Decima Flittiglia issue oxygen rebreathers and a 2-piece frogman's dry suit to Livorno for the Allies to use. This equipment proved better than the Davis apparatus and lasted longer on a dive. After the war and until the 1990s, divers used the Seed Gorman rebreather and aqualung. Training to become a clearance diver takes around 7 months. Before trainees are accepted onto a course, they must pass a week-long diving aptitude selection held at the Defense Diving School on Horsa Island, Portsmouth. This selection involves passing the diver's physical fitness test DPFT tests of physical and mental endurance in surface swimming. The candidates are also introduced to the Royal Navy Swimmer's air breathing apparatus and dive in Horsa Lake, including night dives. Historically, the failure rate has been high due to the physical and psychological pressures of military diving, so there is a 3-day pre-entry diving acquaintance which allows prospective candidates to undergo physical and mental tests to give them a better idea of what to expect of the training. The diving branch is formed of teams that serve aboard mine hunters, perform domestic bomb, mine and IED disposal, and the two fleet diving groups FDG. Expeditionary Diving Group EDG comes under three commando brigades specializing in very shallow water VSW beach reconnaissance operations, working alongside UK Special Forces UX. New members are trained in parachuting, maritime counterterrorism and CT tactics, and swimmer delivery vehicle SDV operations. Tactical Diving Group TDG is the deep water warfare unit who specialize in sea mine disposal. Members cross-train with EDG. Clearance divers have been involved in every major British conflict since their inception and have most recently deployed teams to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. They have units operating in the Persian Gulf and Indian Ocean providing an underwater force protection of the element. See Operation Kipian. North America, Canada, Canadian Armed Forces divers, U.S. Underwater Demolition Team U.S. Navy, 1943–1967, Navy AUD, 1941–present. In 1941, Draper Kaufman established the U.S. Naval Mine School at Naval Gun Factory in Washington, D.C., and subsequently the Bomb Disposal School was established. In 1943, Kaufman selected men from the EOD school to create the Naval Combat Demolition Units in CDU teams that would take part in the landing at Normandy. The first U.S. casualty in mine disposal was in 1942. An ensign John M. Howard was killed when he attempted to dismantle a booby-trapped German magnetic submarine-laid moored mine. About 20 trained bomb and mine disposal personnel were killed in action during WW2. U.S. Navy Underwater Construction Teams 1960s present. Oceania, Australia. The Royal Australian Navy Clearance Diving Branch divers serve as combat divers on tactical operations using oxygen rebreathers, mine countermeasures, and underwater battle damage repair. Work may include underwater searches and salvage, and neutralizing explosive devices. Clearance diver qualification is recognized for civilian equivalences with accreditation through the Australian Diver Accreditation Scheme. ADIS. New Zealand. The Royal New Zealand Navy Operational Diving Team (ODT) are clearance divers and also serve as combat divers.